Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of HHC Heroes in a Half Court. I am Chris. I'm here with my brother Jake. I'm here with my brother Josh. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing all right, man.
All righty, and we are here on this Sunday morning to talk some basketball. We are here every Sunday talking. We've been here this whole season talking Spurs basketball, and that's our number one thing is to try to bring some highlights and bring some discussion to the Spurs and kind of be along the ride with them. And our season is done, right? So we're going to be using today's episode to kind of give our thoughts for the season, kind of wrapping up some of the things that we like about the year as a whole, some things we want to see moving forward into this off season, and then we'll probably spend some time at the end. If any of you guys got a chance to check out some of these playoff games, just kind of talk about what we've seen so far in the NBA. I think we'll be hanging on. As far as doing some shows, I think we're going to be hanging on, continuing to talk some basketball throughout the playoffs, even though the Spurs are out. And then moving on until next year, or moving on into the off season, we'll kind of figure out what kind of things we want to do at that time. So, anyways, go ahead and give us a like or a follow at our Twitter account, at our YouTube account, at our Facebook page. That's kind of where we spread our word around. At Heroes Half Court on all three of those places. Just find us. We're around. So. All right. Well, let's just kind of jump right in. I mean, we had the play in. We had our one shot game 7 kind of environment against the Grizzlies. It was kind of an ugly game, kind of like I think we kind of all expected it to be kind of an ugly game, drag out game. We had a shot to win, and
we did.
I think it was probably a lot of the things that were problems for us for most of the year just showed their head at different parts of that Memphis game as well. So I don't know, do you guys want to start with the Memphis game, what you saw, and then we'll go on to just season as a whole?
Yeah, go ahead, Jake.
Well, I didn't really get to I got to watch what
you had work, huh?
I had work, so I didn't really get to tune into the game. It was more like, I had to watch highlights, stuff like that, and try to listen on the radio. It was pretty rough listening to it in the first quarter though. I remember like hearing all the back-to-back things of just nonstop, like, oh, here's Dylan Brooks, here's Ja Morant, and I was just like, oh my goodness, they're killing us. And then I just remember hearing like a little like, oh, here's Devin's little shot that went around the rim and finally went in. But then I hear that he gets blocked a little bit later, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is just, we're going terrible right now. And so it's like about like honestly as much as I could get out of the game just by listening to it, because I was just at work. I wasn't able to tune in for the most part. But I'll let you continue on it, Josh.
I mean, it was rough. The whole first quarter was rough. Luckily, our guys got back in it and made it respectable at a half, and then going into the third. I believe it's the third. Can't remember if it was the third or the fourth when we actually took that lead on that and the DeRozan mid-range, right?
I kind of think it was the fourth, but I'll be able to see it right now.
Yeah, so like I mean, our guys fought back. We played pretty good second half. The second half we had a lot of momentum. We went on I believe it was a 20-3 run to get back into the game, and then we could just like never get over the hump. And even though we took that lead, we got that little jump shot to fall. We took the lead by 1 point, but then it was like, then we couldn't get no stops, man.
Yeah.
Again, all year it was defense. It was just defense. We cannot get it.
Yeah, and also it's kind of a compound issues, right? I mean, when you put yourself in a hole in that early in the first quarter, you're just making yourself fight uphill for the rest of the game. So I mean, everything that you do takes twice the amount of energy, to cut into the lead and to do all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, especially if you watch like the Memphis, and when they went on to play the Warriors, and they beat the Warriors, and they were making some more shots, I guess. But I mean, even in that game, it's like they muddy the game up because they don't have like a superstar. I mean, they have Ja Morant, and man, he's coming out for sure. But I mean, they're not a complete team just yet. You know what I mean? They're still pretty young. They still make a lot of mistakes. So, like I said, man, it was a winnable game, but we're young and we make a lot of mistakes too.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of young, I saw a tweet, right, and all year I've been saying, I saw a tweet. It's so easy for me to screenshot. I've been having for there, and I never do it. Anyways, like it had our roster, who we're gonna have on the roster, and then everybody that's possibly leaving. And with who we have signed right now, our average age is 22 years old on that roster. Man, we are babies.
Yeah, I know. So the Grizzlies made the playoffs, and they announced. I think it was during. Obviously they haven't played their game one yet, but it was like during. I think it was during one of the game ones yesterday, maybe, or maybe it was during the play-in. But they were saying like, if the Memphis Grizzlies make it in, or if it was yesterday, they said the Memphis Grizzlies are the youngest team in the playoffs. And when they said their average age, I was like, damn, like if we would have beat them, then it would have just been us. Like they would have said the same thing about us. Hey, they have the youngest average or whatever, because it was low.
What do you remember what theirs was?
Probably around the same 20. It was like 24, 25 or something like that.
Yeah. So like, and I guess I don't think about that because I don't think I'm like, oh, he's been there 3 years, he's been there, whatever. But they're all kids, they're all babies, like super young, and it's kind of exciting. It's kind of a good set to hear, right? That we finally got some young guys to move forward with.
I would say so. But also it's kind of a thing of like we've had them all, we've had them. So it's the next step now. We
gotta keep them all together.
Yeah, the timelines look good. The timelines look good for us. And like me and Jake were talking last week. Now is the opportunity for them to kind of be where we get a lot of that culture and where we get a lot of that leadership is from a guy like DeJounte and from Derek White, like the guys who've been here for a little bit longer. Well, DJ, right? Like we had mentioned, he dates us back all the way to the Kawhi injury. He's been around, you know what I mean? So it is time. I agree with Jake, especially after last
DJ
week.
2016.
In 2016.
Yeah,
and it's going to be 2022 season next year.
Exactly.
Exactly. He played in Timmy's last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So that's what I was saying. It was like when you see everybody knows like
it was sticking bones, right?
Yeah. Heck yeah. Everybody sees the shot of Kawhi and Zaza like happening on that the camera angles on that baseline, and when he falls towards the bench and he's grabbing at his ankle, and there's just little baby DeJounte Murray sitting right there on the bench. You know what I mean? So like Jake was kind of saying like, because I was asking the question, if we have a high potential of not having Rudy, Patty, and DeMar on our team next year. And if that's the case, where does that kind of like culture / leadership come from? And Jake was like, well, it's time. You know what I mean? Like DJ's been around, Lonnie's been around. White's been around. Like it's time for us to like have them be the ones that are leading the charge when it comes to our culture and our work ethic and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, moving forward. And then I never really, I guess, looked into like NBA contracts, but can you front load contracts like in the NFL?
Yeah.
Like, so like we can give a guy X amount year one and then just a big fall off?
I don't know.
I think there's rules.
Rate?
Yeah, there's rules.
Because
like the depreciation or whatever.
Yeah, what I was thinking too, because of those guys of DeMar, Rudy, and Patty, the guy that I don't want to see go is Patty. And even if we don't play him or whatever, like I would love to give him a lot of money next year when we have because to save that cap space for the following year. You know what I mean? Like if we give him a lot of money next year, it's really not going to affect us because it's going to fall off year. But then we'll still have him under contract, and that's what I was thinking to myself. I was like, man, wouldn't that be so nice to have him, just to have him there, because we talked about
they probably wouldn't even need to like do like a multi-year thing with like any kind of depreciation. It'd probably just be like a 1-and-1, a team option or something like that.
Well, I'm just saying because I feel like he could, like if he wanted to, like really wanted to, I know he could go make money elsewhere, right? So if we're just like, hey, look, we know you can get that money elsewhere, but we'll give you X amount this year, multi-year, so still be in the league. He'll be like
kind of like with that last little bit that we had Gino, because like we were gonna like pay him like little bits of money, and he was gonna accept it too. But then like I think like Philly had offered him like 14 million, or more than 14 million. So we bumped it up to like it's a solid like it was like 2 years 14 million instead of like Philly giving him pretty much nearly 14 million.
Or we entice him to like, hey, look, we're gonna overpay you next year if you resign with us. whatever. Maybe
Um,
we want to discount, or I know it's kind of hard to say that about people, but
So in thinking about like our season coming to an end and like what you saw from everybody, I mean, obviously we want to spend some time talking about the young guys and what we want to see from them and all that. But I mean, you know, since Josh already kind of brought Patty up, Josh, if you want to bring him back, like what are you hoping that he, you know, can do for us in the positive?
the same. I feel like I want him to be that little spark plug, the same role he's always been in, the spark plug, but like just less. You know, I don't like. I couldn't tell you what he averaged minute wise this year, but if we could get like Patty a good like solid 10 to 12 minutes a night, like that's perfect to me. Like don't overplay him, keep him fresh. Like, or if there's, you never know. I mean, you saw what happened with Tony, right? Tony left and then DJ was like gone. So like it would be nice to have Patty just in case, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
we let Tony walk and then we were in desperate need of a point guard. We did not have that guy. DJ was a baby DJ was hurt and then we had
Derek White was having
Patty,
to step in.
Yeah, right. That stepped into Patty's role and Patty was playing a lot. So like, I don't know. I would like to have him there to be like that, just like he was in the bubble, right? Like, well, you could play, but we kind of want you just coaching these guys up during timeouts, you know, whatever, helping these guys, you know, even like during play, you know, he's there yelling, he's hyping people up. And then like, okay, we need you real quick, Patty. You know, give me a good solid 5 or whatever. Like I would love to have Patty there.
And then the money and the money aspect is mainly just to keep that money ready for the next season, off season.
Yeah. Like I feel like we could afford to overpay him this off season, you know, to keep him in San Antonio, to keep him teaching all of our guys, to keep him teaching Trey and Devin and even Luca and then Keldon and Lonnie, like all the guys that need it. Like keep him there. Let him coach those guys up for a whole another year with practices. You know what I mean? Like COVID. Hopefully, it's on the tail end. It's phasing out. Everybody's getting vaccinated. So you let Patty help these young guys for a whole another year, and then hopefully it continues and he stays. But if he wants his money, I feel like we have the money to give it to him. It would be this year instead of the following.
Jake, what do you think about the idea of keeping Patty, in that role, or for what money and all that kind of stuff?
No, yeah, I honestly I love that idea that Josh thought of, because I never even thought about just like kind of giving him like a front load type of contract in the sense of just like if we did pay him closer to that 8 to 10 million again this year. You know what I mean? Like 8 to 10 million this year for
one, right? Just a 1
year.
Yeah,
for 1 year, just because like I don't even know if what our plans this offseason are, but like I honestly don't feel like overpaying. There's very few people in the free agent pool that I feel like I want to overpay to try to bring to San Antonio and keep building with us. And I know you can't be picky when you're a small market team. You can't try to pick and choose who you want. But like at the same time, why would you overpay for somebody who's like you're not gonna move the needle with these type of people? You know what I mean? So it's just like one of those things that's just like I would not mind seeing that. I feel like it all comes down to just seeing if Patty wants to play or not. You know what I mean? Because I 100% agree with you. I think obviously I think everybody in San Antonio knows this. I think Patty knows this, that like we just like there's a lot of love for him, and he's like there's nobody like even if he doesn't play as well as he could, I don't think anybody hates Patty.
He's our last guy. 2014.
Exactly.
It's him and Pop. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I mean like I don't think anybody has any distaste for Patty. But if we know what Patty's role is going to be for the next couple years, which is literally, hey man, you're going to be our third string point guard, yada yada. And he kind of does feel like Tony does, where it was just like, well, I got a little bit of play left in me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he can go get money and go play meaningful minutes for a contending team compared to just playing with us. And I don't think anybody would get mad at that. But I think
Yeah.
like those would be his two options, literally being, like I'd probably say like a little bit more of an overpay from us for him just to kind of be our third stringer, be still part of the organization, or actually go get some PT, go get paid good money still, and go compete. Like I don't think you'd get mad at either one of those choices.
Nope.
And
I
and,
wouldn't,
and
because I know if it was me, like, yeah, the money would be nice for everything, but I would want to play as long as I could. You know what I mean? As long as my body said he could play, so I don't fault that guy no matter what he does.
Yeah, and we'll know a little bit more because he also still is going to be partaking in the Olympics in this summer for Australia. So he'll be able to have a chance to again like keep playing kind of for his. I mean, the same way like during a contract year you try to play up so everybody's watching you a little bit.
Yeah,
Well, his contract year is continuing in Tokyo. You know what I mean? So we'll see. I mean, if he goes and he has like a good showing, that is going to bode well for him in terms of like, hey, these teams are they're offering me money. You know what I mean? Or on the other end, if he goes and he again looks kind of tired and is whatever, then maybe it is one of those things of like, hey, obviously I want to go and do a full postseason run. Well, I don't know because then he won't really have Olympics to worry about like next summer. You know what I mean, or the summer after. So I don't know. But it might make his decision or change the outlook of his decision moving forward. I don't know. Do you guys want me to run down the list of some like free agents that are going to be around, or do you want to keep going and we'll talk about like Rudy and DeMar?
Well, I mean, as far as those guys, out of the three that you named, I want to keep. It's not a knock on Rudy or not a knock on DeMar. I know I've said like DeMar be frustrated me sometimes, but like he's too good not to want on your team. And I feel like he might, how Jakob said, well, this guy's not going to move the needle this offseason, as far as free agents go. Well, there's a team out there
he would move.
DeMar DeRozan's going to move the needle for us, So I know he can get paid, or maybe we do the same thing that I was talking about with Patty. Maybe we overpay him on a 1 year deal.
Yeah, on a shorter deal. Yeah,
on a 1 year deal, or maybe we have a team option of 1-1 or. I don't know, so something like that. If he does come back, it would just be like on a 1 because we have the money, but we also want to keep it ready for the following, which would be like there's a lot of good players out there on that free agents. But I believe as much as like as good as Rudy has been for us, I kind of think that it's his time to move on. And it's the same thing for Rudy. Rudy's gonna put or somebody's out there that wants Rudy. I know. Trade deadline, right? Miami's in the playoffs right now. They just took the Bucks to overtime, and Jimmy and Bam played horrible, and they still took an overtime. So like maybe he could go join a squad like that or whatever, and he'll put them over the top. Those guys are guys that I don't think are it for us, but are definitely it for
somebody else.
Some other teams.
Yeah, he could definitely be an Andre Iguodala kind of player for another team that can make a difference for sure.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And me and Jake had talked last week about like fans' perception of depending on where these people would go. And I do think that most people would be a little bit irked if we were to keep Rudy. Versus like Patty, I think people would be pretty okay if he stayed if the numbers were right and the role is right. And then DeMar, I think is kind of in the middle, like right at 50-50. I will say though, like kind of what you said about Patty, like even though Patty frustrates you, all it took was that one time of him bucking up to a homeboy who was trying to get in his face before all of Spurs, Spurs fandom was just like right back on Patty's side, you know what I mean? Of like, heck no, like don't step to him, you know what I mean, kind of thing. So I do agree. I think that Patty would be welcome back if the role was right. I think that Rudy. I don't know if Rudy will be welcome back, but I will say that I think that if the Spurs are going to be looking to go away from Rudy, then they need to fill that freaking spot because, like, as much hate as Rudy got, I'll still defend him to this day. Like, as much hate as Rudy got all year long, nobody on our roster at the 4/5 was doing what he was doing. You know what I mean? And because they're all too young, like they're all too young or too small or inexperience or whatever. And he would shoot some questionable things, and sometimes maybe it would be at the detriment of like the team offense. But I mean, he was just, we didn't have anybody else that could fill the positions that he was filling for us this whole year. So if we are going to go away from him, and I agree, I think that out of the three, he's the easiest one, because that's where our biggest holes are. So I think that we're going to go that route during the draft and offseason to try to fill those holes. So sure. I would agree. I think that he's probably the one that's like most likely to go.
And
morning, Unc. How you doing? Enjoying the sand, hopefully. Enjoying the summer.
Yeah. And so then, like, for me, like I give Rudy a ton of credit for at least like the first half of the season when we had to deal with all the LaMarcus stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, I mean, he like, we're trying to figure out what we could do with LaMarcus, and that's a whole roster spot that we didn't have a center. Yeah. So it was just like we needed Rudy to come in and be a backup 5 and have to be so versatile for us throughout this year, that I was like, once he started kind of like, people started to like hate on Rudy and stuff like that, I was just like, well, I mean, like, like, you just see what he did at the beginning of the year, and I don't know, I feel like some people kind of took it for granted, but it was just like, it was an important thing for us, because if we didn't have Rudy, then we'd have no size.
I mean, we had LaMarcus Aldridge, who was like a net 0 on our roster. You know what I mean? Like, because even when he was around, we weren't like playing him that much. We were diminishing his role, and then we had Trey Lyles on the roster the whole year, and that's like that's an asset that we could not use all year long. You know what I mean? So it's like he stepped in and did that. Like,
barring like this injury, but there was a lot of times where Trey Lyles didn't play, and then he would come in, and I feel like he gave us some solid minutes, and then he didn't play again for the next.
I mean, I don't know. I would definitely have to go back and look, but I would put Trey Lyles similar to the, like, how the early knocks on Luka, where it was like, man, when Luka gets in, it doesn't look like he's ready to take advantage. There was a lot of times where he was just kind of moving around, and maybe he was just like trying to get his rhythm, because there were times where I would see him try to get good looks, make good cuts, but he would just miss some shots. You know what I mean? And
I can't remember what game it was, but remember there was a game where he played like late. He was like late in like crunch time, and I felt like man,
if I'm not mistaken, Trey Lyles won a game for us.
Yeah, and that's what I said. I was like, dude, he came in there and he.
Yeah, maybe.
And I can't remember if we won it. Like, I cannot figure it out, but like I remember he came in and I was like, dang, like the only reason either we won or we were in it was because of Trey Lyles, right? And then like and then he goes and then doesn't play. Like he gets like some MVPs, and we're like, well, that sucks.
And that's why like all throughout this year, like I was very upset because we just weren't able to find any position, like any positional minutes for Trey. Because like last year he was good. He was really good for us.
I mean,
last year.
we were. I think 2 of us had him in the starting lineup at the beginning of the year.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Because I freaking remember watching him all throughout last year and just being like, dude, this guy, he is everything that I want him to be when it comes to stretching, because he spreads the floor out, and then his defense on the perimeter and inside, it obviously wasn't the best, but he was still a 6'10" body that like you couldn't just throw him. You know what I mean?
If he can get a little bit, I know he had his injury was from his leg, right, or his foot.
Oh, I don't know.
I think it was an ankle, right? Is what they had it listed at. So I mean, if he can spend this offseason, getting a little bit lighter, which will help his legs in terms of injury, but it'll also kind of speed him up a little bit. You know what I mean? Or if he can just trade some of his weight, his bulk for like lean muscle, just so he has got a little bit more push. He probably doesn't want to stay here, but at this point,
for sure. I think
his type, like you said, Jake, is something that we could use, man. Like it's something that we could use. So like he could do what Rudy Gay was doing for us, if we can just find a role for him and keep him on the court. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So and who knows, man? Like I mean, he obviously is probably frustrated not having played a whole bunch of the season. I don't know what his injury extent is, that it kept him out a lot. Who knows if a lot of speculation around the sports or around the Spurs like camps, at least from the fans' point of view, is that he probably wasn't as hurt as they say. He probably was just not playing because it was like, all right, we're just gonna be moving on from you or whatever. But I mean, if we don't keep him, then definitely somebody that fits his mold.
And it's like, but like. That's why I was like it's for me, it was such a missed opportunity this year because it was just like, man, all this guy, like I said it with Derek and I said it with Trey, was like, if second we start giving them consistent minutes, they're going to start playing good. Because I know Trey was playing pretty rough throughout the season, but I was like, we got to give him time. We got to let him get back into the offense because the guy hadn't played. And then we're not in a season where we get to practice and to where Trey gets to learn everything. So it's just like, well, he was here last season, and he should kind of know how the system works. Then he just needs to get back into his shape, and we just needed to give him that time, but we didn't. And then now, look what's happening. Like, honestly, if in a perfect world for me, coming into this season, like when I think about it, if hindsight was like 2020, all that kind of stuff, and I was able to understand what we could have done, I would have definitely had KJ at the 3 the entire year and ran Trey and Luka as my 2-4s, or I guess like Trey and then Rudy / Luka, right? You know what I mean? And it's just like, I feel like that would have been good. I feel like that would have been so good. Then we could have been able to extend Trey, and next year we're not really worried as much about our 4 position because we have Trey and Luka.
Or we at least know what we got with Trey and can make the decision at that point if we want to move on or extend or any of that.
Exactly.
Yeah. But the injury obviously took him out. Part of it, right? Part of it was us and part of it was the injury. So
he wasn't on the bench, right? For a lot of those games, he wasn't on the bench.
Yeah, but I don't.
And I think that's why. I think that was the speculation. Well, look, this guy's like not even here, right? But then towards the end of the year, he came back and he was. Yeah. He was there cheering and everything. So then I was one of those people, right, that thought, well, Trey's gone, right? We did something to piss him off, or he's whatever. His name was floating around at that trade deadline, blah, blah, blah.
And a lot of that was all happening at the same time. Like the trade deadline stuff happened. He wasn't around on the bench. So like, yeah, it spiked up for a little bit for sure.
Yeah. So like, but then towards the end of the year when he comes back and he's cheering and he didn't suit up, but he's there in his street clothes, but he's on the bench and he's high-fiving our guys and all that stuff. I'm like, well, then maybe if he really was just hurt and he was taking his time and
the cameras caught a couple moments of him sitting with DJ and Pop, like kind of talking and laughing and
So like that kind of makes me think, well, maybe that guy was just really hurt, and then he's obviously not signed. So yeah, he's gonna play, get hurt again, and then go into this country, hurt or just be healthy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was thinking along the lines of that, like maybe we do have plans for him. Maybe are gonna keep him.
Yeah, I know people like to hate on our coaching staff too, and are just like the plans that they're making. But you gotta think that these guys have plans for this year and beyond. You know what I mean? So, let me real quick just read. I don't know. I won't. The list is huge, so I can't like sit here all day. Well, it kind of is long, but other than Chris Paul has a player option, Kawhi has a player option, but like I'm gonna just try to throw some names out and see like are there any people that you think could kind of fill in those holes? Would it be okay if I skipped over like Mike Conley and Kyle Lowry, like the point guards?
Yeah, we don't need point. I don't even think we need no guards.
Let's see. We got so
at Kyle Lowry and throw the bag at DeMar.
Hell no.
Hey, it would definitely be bona fide chemistry, bona fide competitive fire that you would be paying for. You know what I mean? Anyway. So DeMar DeRozan's unrestricted, Otto Porter unrestricted, Oladipo unrestricted, Tim Hardaway Jr. unrestricted, who is a guard but he's a shooter.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind that. But y'all don't like Devin at the 3, so then I don't know. Like that's like a we have too many. But
guards. There's too many twos.
But wouldn't you agree though that we do need a shooter? So if you're gonna if think about like how you would want Patty to be effective as a shooter, right? That even though he's small, that's where you would if you're gonna pay Patty, if we have a shot to go get a guy like Tim Hardaway, you know what I mean?
I would be down.
Okay, so Evan Fournier, Danny Green, Kelly Oubre,
Bring Danny back.
I mean, his average salary was at 15 mil. So having
been
been
paid 15 million.
I was gonna say, having been removed from his Lakers title, who knows how far a Philly goes? We could probably get him for less than that. Is what I'm thinking too.
Unless Danny Green shoots 80% from 3 in the
Finals
playoffs.
MVP, Danny Green.
Yeah, like unless we start seeing 2013 Danny come back, Danny's not gonna pay 50 million.
Kelly Oubre Jr. unrestricted. I'm not sure. Jake, do you know James Johnson from New Orleans?
James Johnson, he's like if I'm not mistaken, he's like a bruiser type of guy. So honestly, I'd feel like I don't know if I'd want him.
He's a little older, 34.
I was gonna say he's probably just as old as Rudy is, but like if anything, I'd keep Rudy over signing James Johnson because James Johnson, like they're both I feel like enforcer type guys. Just James Johnson is
Rudy's
more
enforcer.
Rudy is the enforcer.
I mean, Rudy. From our team, from our team,
for us, buddy.
Yeah, I guess. Will Barton has the player option.
It's Rudy, dog. Rudy's the one that's like up in the action all the time.
Yeah, but just give Drew next year or two, and then he'll be like same way, up in people's grills.
Let's see. Kelly Olynyk unrestricted, Trevor Ariza unrestricted, Patrick Mills Unrestricted. Let's see. Player option for Dinwiddie. No. So far, has anybody caught anybody's eye yet?
Yeah,
Nothing?
dog. If we need shooters, let's go pick up Snell.
Tony Snell's 29 years old. Average salary at 11.5 mil. So not bad. We'll see how Atlanta approaches their offseason.
Word one. Rudy was ready. That's because he was frustrated at all the Spurs fans for talking down on him. He was finna let it out on
you're talking about during that scruff with Patty?
Yeah. You see one's coming?
Oh no, I didn't see. I was sorry. I was looking at the Rudy was ready to throw hands for Patty. Yeah, exactly. Let me keep going real quick, just a little bit more. Let's see. Josh Richardson, Norman Powell, Paul Millsap is unrestricted. Serge Ibaka, player option. Derek Jones Jr., player option. Montrezl Harrell, player option.
Jones Jr. If Derek Jones Jr. doesn't want to come back to, I think he's on the Blazers right now. Yeah. I definitely think I'd like to have him because he's a solid wing. He's got I know he doesn't have like all the size on him, but he's a good perimeter guard. Like and not sizes and height because he's tall enough to be a wing.
But he's not like
But yeah, I was gonna say he's a little skinny. But they he's like the reason why the Trailblazers signed him, the reason why the Heat used him during the playoffs was that he was a perimeter defender. And honestly,
he was pretty solid at it.
Yeah, like he was a good perimeter defender. So I was like, well, if I have that guy,
high flyer, right? High
flyer. Yeah, if I have that guy to play defense with the team, and then let DJ and Derek, just throw lobs to him, he'd be the only guy that would actually catch him and dunk him. You know what I mean?
And I don't know Portland's like their books or anything, but
you saw the lob play that we drew up, so I don't think.
But now we're throwing lobs. We'd be throwing a lob to somebody who is known for catching lobs, not to who did Rudy even throw it to?
I think he tried to throw it to Lonnie, right?
I don't know what you're referring to.
I mean, even then, Lonnie, don't get me wrong, Lonnie's a high flyer, but I don't think we've ever seen Lonnie try to go up for oops all the time.
Yeah,
that's what the Spurs don't do.
So I don't know Portland's book situation, but they have to make a decision on Derek Jones and on Norman Powell. So if they brought Norman Powell in, they traded away Gary Trent to get him. The likelihood of them wanting to make that financial commitment to him is probably pretty high, especially if he shows up and plays some good minutes for them in the postseason. So Derek Jones is a guy who might be looking to move on because he wants he might feel like his role is going to get diminished in Portland, or maybe they just don't want to give him the money that he's looking for, because of how they're going to sign Powell. So who knows? That might be a guy to keep on the radar right there is Derek Jones. That so far out of the list, that's been the biggest one for me that like has popped up. That's like made my ears perk up a little bit. Maybe Kelly Oubre, but I mean, for obviously I think everybody knows kind of like the concerns with getting a guy like him. Let's see.
Look at him.
What
Bro,
the hell?
the media publicity we'd get if we signed Kelly Oubre?
Oh my god.
Yeah, but would it be the kind that you want? You know, we got a lot of media
Yes.
publicity during the Kawhi Leonard fiasco. Was it the kind that we wanted though? You know?
No, yeah, we definitely like I mean, he just become the next model for the Spurs jersey. Like that's literally all
This
it is.
guy, dude.
Oh my
I don't even
God.
care. He could be
All right.
15 man on the
I'm
roster.
gonna keep going.
Hey Juan,
let-
come get your boy Juan. If Juan's watching, come get your boy out right now.
now here's a guy that piques my interest as a veteran that I would go after is PJ Tucker. I know that he's old, and I know that he could have a hard decline because we've just been seeing him play hard for like multiple years. But in terms of just like wanting to be tougher, PJ Tucker would give you toughness, and you don't have to start him at 37 years old. You know what I mean? He would definitely probably, but then again, PJ Tucker is in the point of his career where he's competing as a role player on contenders. You know what I mean? Oh my God.
He didn't specify, so I'm gonna assume he's talking about Josh.
he's talking
Yeah.
about he's talking about me talking about PJ Tucker.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Now, like, he doesn't perk my ears of like, oh my God, this is gonna like change the way da 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 da. But just, I mean, I value the things that he would bring to any team. You know what I mean? And so, if he were to consider signing with us, that would be cool. But I mean, I know it's not gonna happen.
Right in the corners.
I mean,
He
yeah, I mean,
defend-
exactly. I mean, he you know, if he can just stand in a good spot, get into a good rhythm, move his feet well enough. He's bulky as hell, and it's tough for guards to get around him, man. It is. So, I mean, he can provide utility. But again, I understand that he's going to be providing utility for a contender, most likely, whether it's Milwaukee or some other team.
Yeah, and that is the reason why he wanted to get a Houston. Remember, he wanted to go to contend.
Yeah, versus exactly.
Well, maybe if Milwaukee has a shot, right? Maybe if he wins the championship this year, and he's kind of just like, all right, my work here is done. I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm out this
and also like, it's not just it's not the rebuilding. It's not just the rebuilding that he was.
Yeah, I was gonna say like the way that you're saying, like, you know, all right, I won, I'm out. That sounds like,
as far as like championship. He got his championship. Now let me go.
I'm out of here.
Get more money
League.
Yeah, but if you can get your I got my title. Now let me go get another little $5 million to sit on the bench and be a vet. You know, versus like let me get $5 million to have to be a contributor. It's like let me take that like third place role. Plus, like I know that he was wanting to get out of Houston, but it's not just the fact that they were rebuilding. It's also like their front office and how they were running their shit was pretty whack. You know what I mean? So I think he would feel a lot more comfortable coming to a rebuilding if the organization was a lot more stable. But who knows? Let me just keep going for a little bit longer until I get to like some of these guys that are also possible. Doug McDermott, unrestricted.
Yeah, give me Dougie. Give me Dougie. I saw an article and they were saying that he was a possibility, like the Spurs should give him a look because we need some shooters, you know? Yeah.
We need shooting, yeah, exactly. Ish Smith would be unrestricted. I hope somebody pays him.
I'm not wearing my jersey right now, but Josh's jersey is super nice. And then Chris has got his Cullen jersey on. Pretty good.
We had to go for the future today.
Yeah, I'm rocking the Timmy. Oh, you can't see it.
I'm on the edge right now because I only have 3 like Spurs jerseys that are in my rotation, and it's Patty Mills, DeMar DeRozan, Keldon, and 2 of those guys might be gone. So I have to be on the lookout. If not,
well, you could always wear a Patty jersey. I don't think anybody would be like,
oh yeah, I'm gonna still rock them, whenever. But I mean, in terms of just during the year, so maybe I'll start saving right now for like the beginning of next year to go buy a Fiesta jersey or whatever.
Celeste told me too that her favorite player was Patty, and I'm like, oh man.
As far as I know,
I don't know if he's gonna be.
I got my Devin Vassell jersey for at least the next 4 years.
There you go.
The next 3.
I'll probably go DJ if I get one.
That Devin Ariza jersey.
Let's see. Any more? Alec Burke, Avery Bradley's player option. Trey Lyles unrestricted. Markkanen's restricted.
Everybody you're saying is like good players, but like exactly what Jakob said. None of these guys
it's not like
are
huge.
moving the needle. Yeah, none of these guys. They're solid guys that we could bring in if we had, a Kawhi still or something like that. Like if we had those guys,
Yeah.
Like those are good players. Like this will be a nice class to go get some of those guys. But this is exactly why I say I want to give Patty a little bit of cash and then wait for the following.
So does that make you think that we might give DeMar what you're saying about what you're saying about Patty is like give him a shorter one? I mean,
I think there's a possibility that we give all three of those guys 1-year deals.
Sheesh.
But then if that does happen, and I forget what we get this year or possibility, right? 10, 11, the possibility to move up, like, and we just do that back-to-back years. I mean, we could easily next year, if we bring back the same team, have the same result. You know what I mean? And then we're just going to have another top 10 pick or whatever.
Yeah, I get that. Now, like I do think though,
you see Juan's point.
Hang on, I can't see it. Go ahead.
Yeah, as far as
kind of scared from the DeMar Carroll signing too. I'm scared to try and pay for a wing. I get that. I think the thing for me is like, we'd be in a different situation. I definitely don't know what I want from free agency until
okay.
Because like if like you know we figure out what our pick is, which at the moment it's landing towards like 11, right? Again.
Yeah, I think there's a tiebreaker between us and Charlotte, like 11 and 12.
Something along the lines of that, right?
Yeah.
And so, who knows? You know, we might end with the 11th pick, or we might end with the top 4 pick. You know, I doubt that ever happens. But
we got Timmy's Hall of Fame year. You know what happened when we got Timmy? We jumped all the way to 1.
You're right. So who knows? We might. If we can move up, that would be beautiful. But either way, I'm waiting to see what we get in the draft, so then I can say, okay, this is the guys that we have. Let's lay it out like this, because for me, it's like all the guys that are on this roster right now, I want them, except for maybe like for y'all don't. I don't think y'all would really say like Trey Jones would be ready. For me, I'm like, all right, I'm ready to see Trey Jones kind of come in next year and start filling in some of the backup point guard rotational minutes. So it's like all the young guys, you know, my DJ Keldon, Derek, Lonnie, you know, the entire young core. I want to see them in the right positions before we even sign somebody. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like in a sense to where I can look right before free agency and be like, okay, looking at this roster right now, this is exactly where I see Lonnie. So we don't need to sign another guy like this. You know what I mean?
Well, but I mean, just you put them in their right positions right now, and then fill in the holes.
That's what I'm saying. Like, because who knows? That's
why I feel like we need a 4. If we get a solid 4,
I hope that I think that we're gonna go. I think we're gonna. I mean, I hope that we draft in that 4 to 5 range, because it forces our guys to get pushed into the 1, 2s, and 3s.
And that's what I'm saying.
I want everybody to fight over. If we could, just like Jakob said, if we could slide Keldon over to 3 and play him at the 3 all year, and then if Devin is his backup at the 3, because I don't want Devin starting at the 3, or Devin's at the 2, or if we have Lonnie, Devin at 2, Derek and DJ at the 1. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I know, and like Jake, you're talking about Trey Jones. Like me, man, I'm still holding out hope that they'll put Derek White as our second string point guard. But
and that's why like I've said it before. Like I think Derek will be able to be a point guard while playing like that little 2 spot. So literally, if we ran,
but Derek, I'm just thinking like, oh, but you're saying on the bench, you're saying him on the bench though with Trey.
Yeah, like if I saw DJ Lonnie Keldon 1, 2, 3, and then Trey, Derek, Keldon 1, 2, 3 as your second unit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you want Keldon to stay?
Did I say Keldon? I meant Devin.
Yeah, Devin.
Either way, honestly, for me, it can go either or. In terms of, I know Juan had kind of said it, and I definitely agree with him when I think about it. You know, Keldon can be utilized a lot better if he slides to the bench role and then just gives us energy. You know what I mean? You just give him spurts instead of telling him that he needs to play long minutes of just trying to give as much energy as he can. You give him those 6-minute spurts of him giving all out energy. And then, you know, you throw your starting 3 back in. And so then if that means that we're starting Devin at the 3, then I'd be okay with that. I mean,
yeah, but you also need your starting 3 to have like the size to compete. You know what I mean? So like you'd bring his energy on the defensive end at the beginning of the game.
Yeah,
you know
for
what I
sure,
mean?
for sure.
And if you balance your roster right, now he's your defensive enforcer on the starting unit, and you don't need him to be. You don't need his offensive production. You don't need to rely on his offensive production right away.
But
You know what I mean?
I would say that 3 position would be the most interchangeable either way. So just like I said though, like I feel like that as your starting and your second unit would be good. Like if you had, I'll say it one more time: DJ, Lonnie, Keldon, Trey, Derek, Devin. I feel like that's such a good 1, 2, 3 on both ends.
We're hoping that we plug in somebody with the draft that's going to hopefully bolster up our 4 or 5 to go in there with Yak, and then we pick up somebody else that's going to bolster up our 3 and 4, 3, 4, 5 kind of areas.
Exactly.
Nerlens Noel's unrestricted. I don't know if he's going to be part of New York's plans as they move forward.
I would totally pay a little bit more to get Nerlens Noel on our team.
His average salary is at $5 million. So I mean, even an overpay probably wouldn't be too much.
Yeah, if we decided that we wanted to pay him $8 million,
I was gonna say give that guy 8 for 2.
Exactly. I would totally be down, because it's like that's like the one thing that like what Nerlens Noel does is like the couple things that Jakob doesn't, and that's not. I mean, Jakob's obviously not a terrible basketball player, but he just doesn't have like that energy or that like ferociousness, I guess. I don't know. He's very finesse, and a guy like Nerlens Noel will, get in the paint and be a big body, like trying to dunk and block shots and all that kind of good stuff. So
let me run I don't know, just like a few more. Let's see. Mike Scott unrestricted, and just stop me if you hear anybody. Ed Davis unrestricted, Enes Kanter unrestricted, Rashawn Holmes unrestricted. I know that's a name that everybody's been.
A lot of people on Spurs Twitter want that guy, and they're saying that we should overpay for him. 20 mil, get that guy 20 mil. I don't know, man. I don't know about that, but
that was the thing for me, was like, if we could get somebody cheaper, if we could get a guy like Nerlens Noel, I think Rashawn Holmes probably does more than what Nerlens Noel can bring. But at the same time, you have Jakob. You know what I mean? Like we don't need.
Yeah. He doesn't need to be the anchor. He would be a complementary piece.
Exactly. And so it's like if we got a guy like Nerlens Noel and still just let Jakob do his thing, and then had Nerlens Noel to come back off, like, dude, that'd be good. That'd be so good.
Because then Yak is the one taking the big brunt of the first hit, and Nerlens is the one who's jumping after the cleanup blocks and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I like that. Let me keep going. Let's see. Kevon Looney, no. Kaminsky unrestricted, Garrett Temple unrestricted, Alfred Payton unrestricted. No. Let me skip.
You don't want Alfred Payton?
No.
Well, he was the start of like 3 point guards in a row. It's like I don't really want to look at the point guards. JaVale McGee unrestricted. I mean, that's a backup center role spot. But I mean, those are the kind of free agency moves that you make for your 13 and 14 roster spots, 12, 13, 14, that make a difference, in my opinion.
You had said Frank Kaminsky. That's also not a bad pickup. If the Suns don't do too much and he doesn't want to stay there, I would totally try to get.
Well, the Suns can easily get bounced in this first round. I mean, it's not a long shot at all to say the Lakers are going to beat them. You know what I mean?
Right.
So they could easily go second seed. Play their ass off for the second seed and get bounced. Bad luck. They get the Lakers.
Dallas has a team option on Willie Cauley-Stein. So if they don't exercise that,
I think I would a little bit rather have a guy like Kaminsky, because honestly, like somebody
who can shoot, right?
As I say, somebody who could space the floor like that. He doesn't have as much. He doesn't have as much interior defense as a guy like maybe like Nerlens Noel, Willie Cauley-Stein, and stuff like that. But he can space the floor. And honestly, if you told me that you'd have Jakob man in your paint, and then you had Frank Kaminsky coming off and being your backup 5 that can stretch, I wouldn't mind that. You'd have to play 2 different systems, so I don't think we would go with that. Because you look at Phoenix and they run Kaminsky, Saric. You know what I mean? And actually, I think they run them at their 4. So maybe we would run Kaminsky at the 4 a little bit. But still, I think when I see them on the floor, I think I see Dario Saric on the floor, and then I see Frank Kaminsky on the floor. And so then, so I mean, yeah, if we wanted to kind of change that up a little bit, it would be a little something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep. I don't really see too many other people. I mean, obviously,
Is Andre Drummond signed?
Andre
Is he on the list at all?
No,
I mean, the list is super long.
he didn't
So
get
if I
signed
if
till
I already
next year.
might be on, it's
so
long.
This is like his. I mean, this is his last contract. I mean, this is last year, right? On whatever contract he's making.
If I'm not mistaken.
I wonder what his price range is going to be, because I know Jake, you didn't like him, but I'll take that guy.
I still don't like it. I'd overpay Rashawn Holmes over paying for Andre Drummond.
Yeah,
Well, if I could get Andre Drummond under 20, then I'll take it. If I can get Andre Drummond for like 15 million,
yeah,
I'll take
Literally,
that.
if you want Andre Drummond for 15 million, I'd much rather pay Rashawn Holmes 20 million, or I'd much rather pay a guy like Nerlens Noel or Frank Kaminsky closer to 10 million compared to paying Andre Drummond 15.
Yeah, same.
I don't think so, man.
So obviously John Collins has been thrown around for sure.
I'd give that guy the bag.
Oh, well, yeah. What was I going to say? It doesn't show does it show that his predicted like what?
No, it just has their
His-
average
whatever his last salary.
Yeah, and so his is like 2.4. So,
That guy's going to get over 20 million.
get paid. Alex Caruso is listed as a shooting guard, but he's pretty freaking big, and he uses his size, and he shoots really well.
They don't think that is the point, right?
I don't know.
Use him as a point.
I think that the Lakers were for sure want to keep him, but that's a guy, man. When I see him play, he always plays bigger than he's bigger than he looks, and he plays his size really well. I like his game. Who else? Anybody else? No. I think that's kind of it. I mean, we're kind of hitting, Hassan Whiteside.
So what about paying for Laurie? Y'all don't want Laurie?
Not really.
I don't like the idea of
face the floor.
I don't. Yeah, and he can shoot. I don't like the idea. Like I want defense more than I mean, I think that we need shooting. I would want I don't know, because he plays the 4. I think if we had like a 3, that if our shooting comes from the 3 and our defense comes from the 4, and the 4 can kind of shoot, that would make me feel better than like our one of our best shooters comes from that 4 spot.
Yeah, I honestly I know I was saying I would really like to have a guy like Frank Kaminsky, but it's like I feel like at that point it becomes price ranges. You're not paying Frank Kaminsky the amount of money that you'd have to be paying Lauri Markkanen. And I think
if you get him for like the mid-teens, like
who Markkanen?
Yeah, I feel like that's a steal.
I don't think. Well, yeah, it's a steal, but I don't think we're gonna get him for anything less than 20 million.
Well, and that's
gonna get paid more than $20 million, and it's like I don't want that.
If you look at I forget, we bounced around that Bleacher Report article, and that's what they were saying, that he hasn't done enough to get that in the 20s, but
right.
Still give him.
But also he's restricted, so his contract is going to be part of like some kind of bidding, back and forth between Chicago and some other team. So those numbers are going to be maybe even higher than his market would even be, because other teams can force numbers to go up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They were just might just be ready to move on, right? So like maybe
we'll see. We'll see if they don't even try to match or whatever like that. We'll see.
They're just like
even then, when you're a team like Chicago, especially with how semi disappointing this year was for them, because they traded for Vus and they were trying to get
and that's why they were saying, because they got Vus.
They could match if somebody underpaid Lauri and Lauri wanted to accept like a $15 to $16 million deal. They could match. Chicago, I would match that in a heartbeat, just so that like by the time trade deadline comes around, bam, you send them off for something.
Yeah. And then also, like, let's say he wants more than 20. Well, if I'm Chicago and I know I don't want to go for him, maybe I offer him 18, knowing he's not going to take it, and also knowing that you're going to push a team to get into that 20 range. You know what I mean? Just make them spend their money, kind of thing.
So it's like I
he,
just
he could be making that.
If they don't, then he'll take it, and then they'll be screwed.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I don't think there's.
I'm just saying that I think it'd be nice for us to get a shooter
on a deal. That's the only thing. A guy like Frank Kaminsky, yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like if we wanted to, if we could try to push for Frank the Tank, like that's fine. But I don't think a guy like Lauri Markkanen would be the deal for me.
yeah. Well, let's kind of because when I go down this list, like kind of like are in who could be a defender kind of people. But it's gonna have to be a team effort again. You know what I mean? If we were to like re-sign DeMar DeRozan, that probably would be like the fastest way to having like a marquee player on your team again. You know what I mean? That's probably our best bet. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I know Josh has to leave pretty soon, so you want to just kind of talk real quick, like, what do you want to see? What do you want to see next year from the guys that are going to be on the roster? From Lonnie, from Keldon, from DJ, from our young guy? What?
I feel like we have to put those guys. We talked about this before, and I feel like Pop was frustrating me a lot because I feel like we just didn't have the right rotations. Like I feel like we had the players, but we weren't playing them right in my mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe I'm dumb. Pop's probably way better coach than me, obviously, but like I just felt like we could have used our guys differently and made a good difference. I mean, so obviously I want all these guys to get better. I want everybody to gel, right? We're gonna have practices. They're gonna get a lot of chemistry. They've been together a couple years now. Everybody, obviously, this is Devin's rookie and Trey's rookie season, so they got a year under their belt. They're gonna go into next year. Lonnie's, I think this is he's going into 4. Derek's going into, is it 5? Yeah. DJ before that, you know what I mean? So those guys have been there a while now. So I think it's going to come together. We talked about this the other day, right? Right after the season started. It's kind of fresh. I feel like sometimes when I talk about him, I'm like, well, dang, I feel like I kind of bash him a little bit, but I don't mean to, because I think that fool's a heck of a player. But it's just as far as age wise, I feel like he's the oldest young guy that we have, and we were talking about moving up in the draft, and I just want to bring this up to see what y'all thought about it, right? And I talked about it a little earlier. Like, would y'all guys trade? Because we're gonna have around the 10, 11 we just talked about, or 11 or 12.
Yeah.
Would y'all guys trade one of our guys to move up to fill our hole at the 4 or the 5? Considering we have so many guards, like who would y'all get rid of? What would y'all do? Do y'all like that? Or?
I couldn't tell you who I'd get rid of. I feel like I remember seeing like stuff at the beginning of the season that's like, all these young guys should not be untouchable. Like obviously you have like your ladder of like, well, this is where this player is, this is where this player is, this is where this player is in terms of value, right? But like, I don't know. I guess like it'd hurt for sure. Like I'd be so upset if I saw that we traded somebody like DJ, somebody like Derek, somebody like Lonnie, Devin. Like we traded any of those guys.
You would say that at this moment DJ is not untouchable for you?
I think
he's untouchable. I think out of all of them, he's the most untouchable.
I think that's what I was gonna say. Is I think he's the one that holds the most value. Of like, this is, you're gonna have to give us a great deal if you're gonna try to pry DJ from our hands.
Like
that's
LeBron.
like exactly. If you're gonna give us something, you got to give us something good for a DJ. You're not giving us, just some wishy-washy thing and the pick. You know what I mean? It's like. Nah, we're getting the pick and we're getting some other assets to keep working with because we're giving away
to me it would have to be like damn near all-star level point guard to get rid of DJ, just because he's approaching that level and he has youth. So I mean, if that's what you want, then we need something. I would personally put him in that untouchable list. DJ.
Yeah, for sure. I would too.
Personally, the way that I see it, especially with this draft, and I hear that like the best guys are these guards. I feel like if you're gonna trade somebody like at that point, you kind of for me, it's like you kind of trade a guy like Lonnie, a guy like Derek, a guy like Devin or DJ. You know, you trade those guards because you're filling that spot up with the guy that you feel like has better potential.
Yeah,
you're not really trading up to get a center or a guard unless it's a center or forward. But like that Evan Mobley kid, you know what I mean?
Mobley, yeah.
And
That's what I'm saying. What if we have a chance to move up to 2?
If it's him, you know what I mean? Like then yeah, like that's like the guy that you need. But I'm hearing a lot of like the guards are what's best in this draft, and it's like, do you draft talent or do you draft needs? And honestly, with a team like this, I feel like you think more talent than you think more needs. And if you get what I'm saying, because you still just have all these young guys that you're building with. You're not going to be able to keep all of them, so you have to figure out who's the most important, who's going to be the guys that you're going to want to keep on the books and keep moving forward with. You know what I mean?
At the moment, we are in position to keep about all of them.
Everybody, yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm saying in terms of draft wise, like if you're going to trade guys to draft, like that at the end of the day, these
if you're going to market trade, then you're going to those guys is what you're saying.
Especially if we trade a guy like Derek that's under contract, right? So that's going to be, I forget what he's making after this year, 16, right, or something like that.
Around the 14 to 16.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a lot of money that we could put. Like if we trade up to draft a 4 or 5, then we could use that, his money for fill the guard spot, in free agency, because I said there's a lot of good guards, out there too that are not going to move the needle, but that could replace Derek.
But
you know what I mean? Like
that's like one of the things that I was just saying though is like why would we want to move up if I feel like they're just going to fall to us? Because the guards are
he's
are probably move up at the guys.
And I can't. I really can't hear you right now,
Chris. Your mic's kind of cutting out a little bit, Chris. But
I really couldn't hear anything you said. But I don't think nobody's gonna fall till 10, especially that Mobley guy.
Well, and he, like I said, he's the only guy that I would say is the one person that's kind of locked into a top five pick in the draft. That if you want to trade up for that because you think that he holds more.
That's what I'm saying. What if he falls to like the 5 and we don't overpay to go to 5? You know what I mean? Like instead of overpaying to go to 2 to take that guy.
And that's what I'm saying. Like if that opportunity comes, I think I would be more willing to give up a guy like Derek or a guy like Lonnie to try to move up and get that center. But other than that, I don't think there's really a need for us to move up unless we're trying to get number 1 or number 2 to get a guy like Cade Cunningham, who
Mike check. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think that's all I was saying too. Is like Jake is just saying that like the positional needs for us are the guys that probably we don't need to work so hard to get up to that unless we are going for that one specific guy, the top center or the top big. You know what I mean?
Well, that Mobley would be the top, right? He is the top center.
Yeah. So I mean, I understand what you're saying. It just as a hypothetical, I don't know enough about the college people to say that I would give up any of our guards because I just don't know what the risk reward kind of battle is at that point. I would be willing to give up Luka Samanic, even though he's emerging, if it meant an upgrade at that, like kind of what Jake is saying. If the potential felt like it was bigger, more immediate, I would be willing to pull the plug on his progression that we've helped push forward and say, okay, let's have him go continue that with another team so we can try to get somebody who can make an impact like right now. You know what I mean? That would be me. Because I want us to get better at the 4 and the 5. At the 3 and the 4 and the 5, really, but I mean we have threes.
Like we have our 3. I feel like we have our 3.
We have our threes. I agree. But I think when I say that, I mean like if you're gonna, when we think about like positionless basketball or people that can guard this one or this one, right now we have guys that are 3s that we're trying to make 3/4s. I would rather have a guy that's a 4 that you can also kind of plug in at the 3. You know what I mean? I would like to come at it from that direction versus the other direction.
Yeah.
All right, Josh. Well, I don't know. Do you need to go like right now?
Yeah. I gotta go help with my babies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. Alrighty. Well, we'll let you go, and we'll keep talking for a little bit longer. But I don't know. Do you did you get a chance to see any of the other playoff games? Anything you want to add from
Yeah.
just what you've seen so far?
I watched the what games did I watch yesterday? I watched the Miami game. I watched. Man, I can't even remember what games. Oh, I watched the Brooklyn game. I saw Kevin Durant. I thought that guy was gonna die the way he fell. Like, God dang. that was that would have been a horrible luck if that fool just, But yeah, like I guess moving forward in this playoffs, I was talking to Drew on Twitter yesterday. He made a comment about the Clippers because I watched after that Kawhi dunk. You see that Kawhi dunk? Good Lord,
Jesus Christ! Yeah.
Oh, he unloaded on that guy, and that's the same guy Lonnie dunked on. Remember? So that's
Maxi Cleva, I think that's who it was.
Mm-hmm.
So but yeah, like I'm looking for good games, man. I want every single series to go 7 games now that the Spurs are out. I just want
I want
solid games like all around. I don't want to see nobody get swept unless it's the Lakers. If the Phoenix sweep the Lakers, then I'll be happy.
Me too.
But yeah, I just want 7 games like every series, even the finals. Like that's all I root for now. But if I'm rooting for a team, like yeah, I'm gonna root for Milwaukee. I like Giannis. I've always liked Giannis. I'll take. I know they kept saying that homeboys on the hot seat over there. If they don't win, they don't win that championship. So
talking about Bud.
I don't want Bud to go out like that. I'd rather him let my man go get him a championship with Giannis, and then
he's got to do. He's got to change, man. Like the same stuff that we're talking about, Pop, is the same stuff that people talk about Bud, but they're just in a bigger spotlight because they're championship contenders.
Yeah, well, like it's hard. It's hard. Like I feel like Giannis only this year have I felt like it's now more like they had players, but not like this year. So this year, yeah, I feel like this is the make or break season for Bud. So I'd rather see him go get him that ring.
Right on.
Because I do think this is the best Bucks team that they've had.
Yeah.
In the Giannis MVP.
When you swap Drew Holiday for Eric Bledsoe, you for sure.
Upgraded.
For sure. So I do like that team. So I guess if I'm rooting for a team right now, it's gonna be Milwaukee. Or I wouldn't mind Danny Green getting him another ring. I've always liked Danny too.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. Alrighty. Well, all right. Well, we'll let you go, and we'll be back probably next Sunday if you want to keep talking. Playoff ball at that point.
Yeah, we'll talk about it for sure.
So, all right, Josh.
Yeah. All right. Peace, y'all.
Bye. That was weird. All right. I mean, we don't have to be on here for much longer, Jake. I don't know if there's any other things that you want to if you want to go back to the young guys, like what do you want to see? What do you want to see? We let Josh kind of have his piece. I mean, I think we're all kind of in the same place, right? We want to see our guys in their natural positions. We want to see progression over the summer, that kind of stuff.
Pretty much, honestly, like I want to see that, and then like I think like for me, like I'm just expecting to see like Devin take a good jump. He's like that one person that like next year I'll be like, all right, well, let's see what he can do now. You know what I mean? I've been saying it all year that he came out and he's been the best rookie that we've had coming out of the draft. You know what I mean? Like DJ was not ready, Derek was not ready, Lonnie was not ready, even KJ to an extent I feel like wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And so for Devin to come in and us throw him out there, which was a new thing for us as well, so it was just like for us to do that and then Devin be able to do good for the first half of the season. It's like, well, I'm glad I got to see this because this was the year that for most people, this is year 3 for DJ, year 2 for Derek, year 3 for Lonnie. You know what I mean? And it's like, or I guess even in Lonnie's, year 3, right? And so then now it's like, all right, we're coming into the second season. We're going to be expecting to see Devin doing more, So he's like the one guy that I'm like, all right, I want to see what he's going to improve on in the offseason, see what things that we work with. And hopefully just see him become a better overall player in general, to where nobody can be like, oh man, Devin's getting on the court, he's still so young, he's still not going to be playing this good. You know what I mean? It's like, oh heck yeah, Devin's getting minutes, getting PT, let's go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I mean, already this year, when you can already kind of start to see his spots on the 3-point line that he's comfortable shooting. You see the spots that he's comfortable going off the dribble from the 3-point line and kind of stepping into a mid. So like you can kind of see the things that he likes to do, and and the best part is like he's getting the shots off for the most part too. So like if we can just keep his awareness up and say, okay, like, yeah, let's build on that. Let's get you 3 more spots on the floor that you like to go to, that you feel in rhythm, so that the defense can't just force you out of those 1 to 2 spots that you like to get to. Let's diversify that kind of stuff. I want him to get a little stronger. I want him to get a little bulkier. You know what I mean? And I think he said that too in his like last conference, but after the Memphis game, like talking about, I'm going to be working on every part of my game, but I want to get better. I want to get stronger. I want to get, more physical, because man, I mean, his defensive instincts are pretty good. So if you can add the strength to it and the physical part of it, then if the closer he can be to matching Keldon Johnson's energy and physicality, the more comfortable I'm going to feel as them being our 1-2, as in terms of the our small forwards. Yeah. So yeah, I would agree with you on Devin. And then this for DJ, I mean, DJ just took like so many great strides this year, right? In terms of just his ability to lead the group. And so I'm so excited for that opportunity to be expanded next year. You know what I mean? So I don't have much to say about him. I think he put himself on the right track and he's working. So we're just going to keep on doing that and support him, because that's our point guard right there. Same thing like Lonnie, I think he will get more touches next year. So, that's hopefully going to just what you said, help him go get into his form, is with the repetition and with the ability to just go out there and try to make things happen more often. You know what I mean? And then Luka, I mean, we'll see, man. We'll see. I still think he needs to get bigger. I still think he needs to get stronger. If we're going to, in my opinion, we need to not feel weak at the 4. We need to not feel weak. You know what I mean? And you can have combo guards and you can have all that kind of stuff. But I mean, you just can't feel like you're undermatched when it comes to your size, because there's nothing you can do about it. You know what I mean? Like at that moment, you're just smaller than the other guy. So I mean, it's like watching Patrick Beverly try to guard Luka Doncic in the post yesterday. It's just like
I saw that clip.
Yeah, it's like that guy has all the IQ, all the fire, all the tenacity, all the everything that you can hope for in a basketball player. But you know what I mean?
He's 6'1",
but put him on your back.
Doncic is 6'7".
Exactly. So imagine a power forward with decent enough footwork to just put Luka on his back and say, like, there's nothing you can do to stop me. You know what I mean? Like we saw that happen to Jakob, and he's a big ass dude. You know what I mean? So I do want that. I do want that for Luka.
I think one of the things that I'm also looking for coming into the year is honestly, like, it's weird to say it like this, but like let's get like an actual I guess like a in-state type of big. I feel like a lot of European bigs come out and they're very finesse, they're very timid and stuff like that. And I see that a lot in Luka and Jakob. And like there's nothing super wrong with that, but we need energy at that big position.
Yeah, well, we need complementary pieces. So like we need both. We need finesse and we need strength. You know what I mean? So like I honestly, man, like I want Yak needs we talked privately, the 4 of us after the Memphis game, and like out of all the hot takes, man, that was the one that just hit me the hardest, because it was like Jakob is our anchor right now. You know what I mean? So we want to get a 4 that can be big enough to complement him, but Jakob needs to be the defensive anchor as a primary defender when they decide to go into the post. You know what I mean? And so I don't want to see I don't want to see Jakob get pushed around not a single damn time next year at all. Like that's gonna set me off so much, like so fast, because I mean we can't have it. Who the heck is gonna fear our interior defense? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what you need. I mean, you need to be able to intimidate the opposing players from coming into the paint. You know what I mean? And I know that he does great as a help defender, getting blocks and defending the guards when they come into the paint. That's not what I'm worried about. He's been great in that aspect, but just from defending the paint when the offense is going through the post, because we've seen it many times this year. Like teams do that at times, you know what I mean? And I just don't want to feel like that is a point of attack for us or against us. Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of it. I think that's kind of it for our young guys, man. We'll know a lot more in terms of we'll know a lot more, like you said, in terms of where our team's going to head when we get closer to the draft, when we get and then free agency and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be an exciting time. So, now's our time to exhale. Now's our time to, take a breath and relax for just a second. And then and then for our young guys, it's a chance just to regroup for like a couple days and then probably get right back into the gym. That's probably how their mindset is. So, I mean, man, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to see where they're coming out at. Anything else you want to add for in terms of just like playoff basketball moving forward between these games? Let me see real quick. I'm going to throw it out just so I don't forget.
I'll just recap some of the stuff, right? I got to watch that. I only got to watch the Miami game. I got to watch like the end of the Portland Denver game, but it wasn't much. It was just like Portland just winning the game at the end.
Mm-hmm,
but the Miami Bucks game, man, freaking. I now obviously our cousin Drew and Josh like to make fun of me because I have a Jimmy Butler jersey. And I'm really high on Miami as a whole, right? Because I like the core that they have over there. I love Bam Adebayo. I love Jimmy Butler. I've always liked Goran as a lefty, and then Duncan Robinson's a freaking crazy shooter. Tyler Hero, he's cool. I liked him in the playoffs, but I never overrated Tyler Hero. I knew he was a young guy.
But he's got time though.
He's got potential. He's got time to build, and so I mean like.
And if you're in a team if you're a young guy, this is how our guys got so good, is if you're a young guy and every single year you're making it to, the second and third round of the playoffs, well then you get your opportunities to learn how to, how to win and lose during those moments. You know what I mean?
I think it is a bit of a shame that the Heat front office did kind of value Tyler Hero's potential a little bit more than trying to win with Jimmy Butler and trading for James Harden. You know what I mean? If they would have traded for him, if they would have traded for James Harden at the beginning of the season and part of ways with like Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero, I don't think the Heat would be in the position they are now. I think they'd be looking like title favorite or contenders, maybe favorites, but contenders for sure.
Okay.
And so either way though, I'm high on this Heat team. And when I see that Bam and Jimmy Butler had a bad game and they only lost by 2, I'm like, hey man, I think the Heat got this in the bag. I think the Heat can take this series from them. And I mean, Jimmy,
it was a long game. It was a tightly contested game though the whole time. So I mean, I don't know.
The way I see it though, like you're right. The Bucks defense held down Jimmy pretty well. They did because you had points where PJ Tucker, Giannis, Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, all 4 of those guys were guarding Jimmy Butler, and you saw how bad Jimmy played. So clearly all 4 of those guys were able to hold their own against him. But I don't think Jimmy would have this bad of a game in a playoff series. Like I don't think he'll get completely shut off like he did in this game 1. And even then, both teams sold the bag like throughout like the end of the game. In that fourth quarter alone, man, I just kept I'm in like the Spurs Twitter group chat and I just kept saying, oh, Jimmy sold, oh, Giannis sold, oh, Bucks sold, oh, Heat sold, like just kept saying that over and over again because you have the missed free throws, you have the 10-second violation. And then you see the defensive possession that the Bucks had for Jimmy to send it to OT. Like, oh my goodness, what was going on at that end of the game? Like, it was just so much.
They gave up the layup to Jimmy, right? Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying? Yeah. That was rough.
And so it was just like, man, like there was just a lot. And then obviously you have the game winner at the end of the for Chris Middleton and stuff like that. And so it's very fun. It's very fun. I love both these teams because I love Giannis and I love the Bucks, but I love Jimmy and I love the Heat too. So it's just like, I mean, I can't get mad if the Bucks win. I can't get mad if the Heat win. Either way, it's just like I want to see a very competitive series. This is just how I feel about it, and I think the Heat are going to be able to kind of pull away soon.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I get what you're saying. I mean, Giannis, 26 points. It's not like he didn't go off. You know what I mean? And he could have had a lot more if he just freaking made his free throws. Brook Lopez with 18 and 8. I mean, I don't know. Like, Brook Lopez, is Bam Adebayo going to have a breakout game against Brook Lopez? You know, it's like maybe. Well, but also, if he's got a bang with him, you know, for the rest of the series, does it wear on him? And I know that they beat him last year too, so you know it can be done. Mm-hmm. It can be done for sure. And Bucks aren't very deep. They ran an 8-man rotation. I mean, he only ran a 9-man rotation, but still, they didn't get much from What am I god? Connaughton. Yeah, I was like, what the heck? Connaughton, Bryn Forbes, 5 points in 14 minutes. Bobby Portis, 8 points in 17 minutes. PJ Tucker with 0 points in 18 minutes. He was probably more of a defensive guy. Mm-hmm. DiVincenzo only had 3 points. In 37 minutes. That's probably a guy that they're looking for to get some offensive production. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I mean, I think both teams, like you said, both teams have some room for improvement. And I mean, I know you said about Jimmy and Bam, but I mean, Duncan Robinson with 24, Goran Dragic with 25.
That was like the only thing that that's like one of the reasons why the Heat were able to stay in the game was because you had a career night for Duncan and a career night, or I guess like playoff nights, right? Like he had solid nights coming from Goran and Duncan Robinson respectively. So that's the reason why they only lost by 2, because Jimmy and Bam did not play good. And you had 2 guys step up to the plate. And so then, I'm not telling you that I'm going to rely on Duncan Robinson to get 25 a night, but I will say that if Duncan Robinson can get you 12 or 14 a night off of his threes, and then Goran kind of close to the same, but he's also facilitating, being a solid playmaker with it, then you have Jimmy and Bam be able to step up more than what they were. I think that comes into play a little bit better than than seeing like how
and also like if you look at the roster and it's like, okay, who has more potential to like have one of those pretty good games? You can see that on Miami's side. You can see that from Jimmy, Bam, Duncan, Goran, and Hero, like all 5 of them. And on the Bucks,
even Kendrick Nunn too. Like that's another
true.
player that like
true.
He comes out and he has those solid little spurts where he'll be doing his thing.
And like with the Bucks, it's like, okay, it's Giannis, it's Middleton, it's Holiday, and then after those 3, like you're hoping for DiVincenzo to give you some, for Bryn to give you some, for you know what I mean. So I get what you're saying. Yeah, I get what I get what you're saying for sure. Over the course of a 7-game series, you can definitely see it sliding towards Miami. Mm-hmm. Right on. Let's see what else do we have yesterday. We had the in the East. Let's stay in the East real quick because we had the Boston Celtics and the Brooklyn Nets. This one was probably the biggest game to me that felt like the seedings were where the seedings were. You know what I mean? Like the Celtics, they look like a 7 seed versus a 2 seed. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jason Tatum was out there doing his thing, but like I don't know, man. Like they've been struggling to get Fournier like really integrated. Smart had a decent night, 17, 5 and 3, I guess. Kemba Walker, oh man,
I had heard that they just let Marcus Smart just shoot the ball, and it was just like, oh well, that's cool. But like when you see Marcus Smart shooting the ball, but then Jason Tatum just having an okay night, and then Kemba not having such a good night, like it's just kind of the recipe for like, all right, this might be a sweep or a gentleman's sweep.
Yeah, I mean, Kemba just needs to be way more efficient. Yeah, he was taking some shots and just making some decisions, literally like in the heart of the game too. So it was like, it was a little frustrating. I could definitely tell if I was a Boston Celtics fan, I'd be like, Kemba, come on, man, like let's get some more team ball going. Let's try to move the ball. Let's,
like they're paying Kemba like a good portion of their books just so that he can be kind of average for them right now. So.
Yeah. Now I will say though, man, like sometimes it was Kemba though who would like, he would use his dribbling skills to get into the paint or get into like the mid range, size up for a shot, and he would have a guard like on his back. And there was a couple times where he was getting contact from the back, like he was trying to shoot, and people are pushing up on him, and he really wouldn't get a call. And then you would see like somebody on Brooklyn get like that same call, like. And that part, I was like, oh, it's a little frustrating. And the thing that I like, and I guess I would say I like it. The thing that I like about the playoffs is when you're in the regular season, if you're a superstar, you get superstar calls, right? Like that's just what happens, right? That's how it goes. When you're in the playoffs, you're a superstar facing against another superstar. So I always love to see the stars who are. They get mad when it comes to those head-to-head matchups, when it's like, yo, man, like you are a star, but this guy's a bigger star. You know what I mean? Like, and it makes me laugh when they get a little frustrated because it's like, what do you think your opponents feel like every freaking day of the year that they have to play you? You know what I mean? So as much as I was giving Kemba, like I was saying about how he was getting some of those calls, that's the way it goes, man. That's the way it goes in the playoffs. They give it to the Kevin Durant's, not the Kemba Walkers, So, sure. But I mean, what else are you gonna say about Brooklyn? They're stacked. Kyrie Irving, man. I mean, they were led. James Harden 21, Kyrie Irving 29, and Kevin Durant 32. Joe Harris had 10. Everybody else was below that. So I mean, what else can you say?
What's gonna happen from Brooklyn?
Yeah, and everything that Kemba was trying to do, Kyrie was doing. Kyrie was cutting them the hell up on the offensive end with his dribbles. Kyrie gets you because as a defender, like you're trying to gauge when he's gonna move from the dribble to the shoot, and he always extends the dribble just farther than you think he's gonna go. Right? He does like one move, and then you're like, okay, here it is. Here's the shot, and then he's like, and I got one more dribble for you, and now I'm going into my shot. So it's so fun watching him play, though. I swear, watching Kyrie,
especially when he's not playing against your team too, man. It's like
yeah, man.
I love seeing that guy do his thing.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a little hard to root for Brooklyn right now. So it is what it is. In the West, we had the Dallas Mavericks, and the Clippers. It was pretty close. I want to say that the guy, I don't really know him, but one of the guys that was working the calls on the NBA TV or wherever it was at, was like saying like, I would probably give the Clippers like a C+ today on how they're executing, and he was like, and they're still in position to win this game. That was like before they started to pull away at the end. And that's kind of how it felt. Like the Clippers were a little sloppy. They were sloppy to begin for sure. But they came on. I mean, and it was pretty contested the whole way. You said you didn't get a chance to watch this one, huh?
No, but I heard that there's a lot of poor 3-point shooting, and like just coming off of a couple like the recap YouTube videos that I watched from like these guys that did watch the games. You don't see a team like the Clippers missing that many three-pointers a game, but it's like definitely one of the things that I heard was like, you live by the three, you die by the three, and so then it was like the Dallas lived by the three, and the Clippers died by the three. So
yeah, and like, so me personally, like that's where I get a little frustrated because like, okay, the game's it's a 10-point deficit, but they really started to pull away in like the crunch time a little bit with the fouls and all that kind of stuff. So it was a contested game, a tightly contested game, and Clippers are pretty well distributed. 26 for Kawhi, 23 for Paul George, 10 for Bev, 11 for Batum, 11 for Rondo. Then you got 8 and 8 from Ibaka and Zubac. So it's like, I don't know, like,
did Morris have any points at all?
Morris only had 4, so that's what I'm. So like, okay, obviously he takes threes for them, right? He shoots the outside, and maybe he was just missing. Maybe he was missing a whole bunch of attempts. I don't have his shot chart right in front of me or his individual stat, but I mean, could Marcus Morris, Zubac, Serge Ibaka, Reggie Jackson play 21 minutes and give you 2 points? Like, could those guys have found a few more opportunities, maybe not at the 3-point line, but at other parts of the floor to just give you some production? You know what I mean? Like, it's a tightly contested game, man. Like, every point counts, and in that regard, twos count just as much. I mean, they count more than zero. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Maybe if I'm the Clippers, I'm looking to see like where could we have improved on some of those smaller opportunities? Because I mean, Batum, Rondo, Beverly giving you what they're going to give you. I mean, I guess that's what you can ask for. You might be, maybe you can ask for another 4 points from Bev. That's one, 2 shots throughout the game. Batum makes one more shot. Rajon did his thing. So I mean, I don't think that the Clippers are too worried. You know what I mean? Dallas was pretty distributed, I guess, as well. 18 for Finney Smith, 14 for Porzingis, 31 for Doncic, 21 for Hardaway Jr., 15 for Brunson, and then Josh Richardson with 8. And then they got zeros from Melli, from Dwight Powell, and from Cauley Stein. All those 3 guys though played less than 10 minutes apiece. Everybody else was played a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
So, they played pretty well. They distributed their stuff. Doncic played really well.
Yeah, that's what I had heard. He's killer, man. It's gonna be another fun matchup, because it's just like, I mean, you can say that the Clippers are heavily favored, but a team like the Mavericks are gonna be fighting for W's. That you never count out a guy like Luka Doncic, because he's a killer. He's a guy who's a freaking, like, I hate playing against him because it's Luka, but like I love watching Luka play because Luka is amazing. He's an amazing ball player. So
yeah. And kind of we talked about that Milwaukee Miami series. They played each other last year, and so so did the Mavericks and the Clippers. So I mean, Dallas is not trying to lose again. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I don't know if I'm 100%. It's tough because it's like, you asked me yesterday or last episode, like, who would you root for? Who are you not rooting for? And all that kind of stuff. And it was like, basically not the LA teams and not Brooklyn. Right. I think that's kind of how everybody's sitting. So it's like, am I really rooting for the Mavs right now? I would say if they were to beat the Clippers in the first round, I wouldn't be mad.
Right.
I don't know if I'm rooting for the Mavericks, but
I get that.
All right. Well, we had one more game, which was just the Blazers and the Nuggets. You got a chance to catch a little bit of this one. I only got to see the highlights, but I mean, I am glad that Dame was able to kind of come out and have a good showing right off the bat. You know what I mean? Because there are times where he'll come out and just kind of have a rough night. So he kind of needed to set the stage, going against what most people are gearing towards as their league MVP. You know what I mean? The Blazers are perpetually kind of around the same area as the Spurs in terms of like, they don't get a lot of praise. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Even though they got the stars and they put up a decent amount of wins. They have good, in my opinion, they have good seasons and they have good production from their team. I like their team. I know people hate the fact that to be living, like they said, living in the middle and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, I like what they do over there. Let's see, 10 from Powell, 8 from Covington, 16 from Nurkic, 34 from Dame, 21 from CJ. That's another guy that I'm glad can come out and have a good game because he can have bad games, CJ. Anthony Simmons with 14, Carmelo with 18. Simon. So Enos with 2, but he's their defender. So I mean, they came out and they did their thing. They did what they needed to do. That's like probably perfect execution in their book for a game 1. And then on the other side, Michael Porter with 25, Aaron Gordon with 16, Jokic with 34, Austin Rivers with 6, Campazzo with 8, Morris with 10. So I mean, man, they distributed their points as they played a good game, I would say. I mean, what do you think? Just like they're lacking Murray.
Yeah. So I mean, I was like I said, I was watching a couple of the recaps and honestly, I didn't even realize it, but like the Nuggets kind of are a little back-ended on their depth. Like they've lost, like, yeah, they lost Murray, but honestly, they made up for it in MPJ. Like MPJ was having an okay season before Murray got injured. Then Jamal Murray went down, and MPJ immediately soaked up all the points.
Yeah.
Now, I am still not a believer in Jamal Murray defense because I've not seen Jamal Murray play defense. And anytime we played against him, he hid. Anytime I saw them play against Utah last year, he was not guarding Donovan Mitchell. So it was just like, at first, or at the end of the games, if I'm not mistaken, he did guard Donovan Mitchell like towards the end of the game, but Donovan Mitchell was kind of getting what he wanted, and so even then, like I'm still just not a huge believer in Jamal Murray, but then people tell me he is a really good defender, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't know, I can't take anybody's word for it. I'd have to watch some Jamal Murray defense in order to say, okay, he's a good defender, and even then, I need to see who he's defending because. You tell me he's a good defender, I'm getting on attention. Either way, Jamal Murray's out. They made up for it in MPJ. And so I'm like, well, Denver should be fine. They should be fine because MPJ and Jokic is good, or they're good enough to be able to, with the supporting cast, be able to move forward and be able to kind of beat a team like the Blazers. But then, like, I kind of look at it, and if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to go check the IR list real quick because there's actually a couple little pieces that have been playing this season
that are not with them right now.
That are not playing.
And I wouldn't be surprised if it's guards, right? Because they look real thin.
Exactly. It's exactly that. I know they played Campazzo a lot, and he's cool. He's actually like he had a couple things this last game. Like he like ripped freaking Damian Lillard, and I remember seeing that in like a little thing he'd said that he is a rock in your shoe or like a little pebble in your shoe. And I was like, wow, I'm so glad.
Dame said that or Campazzo said that?
Campazzo said that about himself.
Nice. Fellow Argentinian.
Yeah, and so it was just like, oh, that's cool. I'm glad he kind of like understands how he is. So yeah, Jamal Murray's out. PJ Dozier is out. He'll miss the entire first round of the playoffs. And then Will Barton has been out he was out for the first game. So that's three rotational pieces that are out for Denver.
Yeah.
And so then like that hurts a lot when you don't have I don't really know what PJ Dozier brings to the table, but when you know that's just one of your rotational guards,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
And Barton for sure, because Barton's been with them for a couple years now, so he is a guy who knows how they run their stuff, and that's a guy, you know what I mean? So I mean, I agree. I think eventually over the course of the series that I think that the Nuggets will win the series.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a little bit, it sucks that they lost their point guard and stuff like that. And it also is kind of showing a little bit, they not that they just lost Barton for this game, but they lost Torrey Craig, they lost Grant, right? So like they had, and obviously they have the whole year to kind of work around how they're going to build their new team. But again, just when it comes down to a playoff series and you're starting to lose depth, it's like, you guys kind of purge yourself a little bit at the beginning of the year. So I think this was from what I saw, I got to watch the highlights for the most part, but this did look like for both teams were playing well, but one team was just is a little shorthanded right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
I'd like to see the Blazers win this game or win the series. I still kind of have like a little hate for Denver.
Yeah, from the playoffs.
I still can't get over it. And like I said, there's like, I don't know, there's just like specific people in the league that I feel like I just like do not like. And Jamal Murray is one of those people that like, no matter what he does, I'm still just like, I don't like you, dude.
I get that. I get that feeling, man. I get that feeling.
And I like tweeted out like a little thing whenever the play-ins were happening, and it was Golden State versus LA, and it was just like a little banner that was like all LeBron and against all Steph Curry, and it was just like, dude, you look at the right and you see Steph in one jersey, and that is a Golden State Warriors jersey, and you see LeBron in 3 jerseys, and I'm just like, why does nobody takes account into that kind of stuff? And it's just like, I don't know. For me, it was just like, I don't know if I'm being like too big of a LeBron hater, because I don't like. I try to appreciate greatness. I understand LeBron is number 2 for me. Like he's not the GOAT, but he's number 2, and it's like, that's great and wonderful. but I still just don't like you. I'm still just like a big hater right now. So it's just like, hurry up and retire so that I can start saying, oh yeah, I appreciate LeBron, because it was definitely like that when Kobe retired. I was like,
I mean,
I didn't
yeah,
have as much hate for Kobe as other San Antonio fans did, because I didn't watch the Kobe versus Timmy battles, but I definitely, I grew up hating Kobe because I was a San Antonio fan. So it was just like when he retired, I was like, good riddance. But then like I started watching things and I was like, I miss Kobe.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like me personally, like I remember being real, I mean, I wasn't that angry because it's not my team, but like you felt for Cleveland when LeBron left to go to Miami, especially when he did the decision and all that, and then they're on the stage with him and D Wade and Chris Bosh, and it was a show, it was a production at that point, right? And so yeah, it was super easy to hate on LeBron when he went to Miami, big time. Even then, it was, you know what I mean. And I know you were a little bit on the younger side at that point, but it was super easy to hate on him. I mean, but him going back to Cleveland and bringing a title back to Cleveland, you know what I mean? Like going back to that spot. I don't know. I think that he did a lot of image repair, and I think that he did a lot of relationship repair with that organization too. So
I do
like
think
if a team like Cleveland can be okay with it, it makes it harder for me to have a problem with it, if that makes sense.
I guess so. I mean, even then, like, I don't know, like, yeah, you're right. He did a lot of image repair when he left, when he came back to Cleveland and stuff like that. But it's still just like, dude, you went to LA like after that point. You know what I mean? Like if you wanted to,
yeah, I mean,
if you wanted your promotional stuff, then go retire, then go to LA. You know, like I feel
what do you say?
Like if he because like the one of the big things about him going to LA was like, it just helped. It helped with
all
product.
the outside, yeah,
like all the stuff that wasn't basketball, and it was just like, well, that's cool. I'm glad you went to LA, but it was just like, retire, go to LA, then go to LA after you retire. But I just like, it's just like more of like, I hate the Lakers, so it's like, well, now you add the guy that I pretty much hated. He came back to Cleveland, and I was so happy Golden State won in 2015. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and then he won in 2016, and I was like, you know what? I respect you, LeBron. Good stuff. Then, like, he just kind of lost against Golden State those last couple years. Honestly, that's like the thing for me is like,
against the Kevin Durant Warriors.
Yeah,
though.
and it's like like that's fine. Like I'm not gonna blame you for losing against them. You made it to the finals. Good for you. If you would have stayed in Cleveland after KD left, like what, you know what I mean? Like they probably still be like, I'm sure they would have retooled and moved things around. I know their front office management wasn't the greatest after they had to trade Kyrie and had to like do all this other stuff, but like, I'm sure they could have done some other things, especially like you see how much the Lakers were able to do when they signed LeBron, and how much they were like, how much free agents they just started attracting. I'm sure Cleveland still would have been able to do that when you have LeBron James on your team.
I mean, who knows? I mean, how many times have you seen like him be on the team and it just be surrounded with a lot of people who aren't up to snuff? You know what I mean? So I mean,
right.
I don't know. I like the way the way that I stand on it, and I know that we're going off on a LeBron tangent for sure. But yeah, it's just like it was easy to hate on him when he went to Miami. I was with you when 2015. I was 1,000,000% rooting for the Warriors. And then it kind of flipped. You know what I mean? It kind of flipped. It was easier to be a supporter of what he was doing because it felt like he was the other team was just stacked. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it was easier to kind of be more on his side. Plus they did the whole 3-1 comeback, plus the LeBron block, plus all that. You know what I mean? Like, again, like that's what I mean by image repair, not just by going there, but by the efforts that he put in while he was there. So like, when he moved to LA, what I took to LA is like, I don't hate LeBron anymore. I am 1,000,000% not going to root for him to win with the Lakers.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So it to me, it made it fun because it was like, now, because I'm older. I lived through the Kobe era. I lived through Kobe passing away too. So I'm just like in a different spot when it comes to like that kind of stuff. Like I'm 100% like a LeBron supporter of his play and of his desire to be the biggest freaking name in basketball for all 17, 18, 19 years of his career. Like he's, that's his position that he's in, and nobody really else is in that position because nobody else has all the tools that he's got. You know what I mean? He's got all the basketball tools. He's got all the outside tools. You know what I mean? He's got it all. But and so it makes it fun for me again to root against him. You know what I mean? It's like, heck yeah, I can't wait. As soon as he signed with LA, I was like, I'm so happy that I get to like be against the Lakers like even more now. You know what I mean? Like go back to that. I don't
drive.
Exactly. Yeah, I want to tear them to shreds every time we play them. But I don't hate the guy.
I get that. I can get behind that.
But anyways, it'll be fun to just keep talking ball and kind of see where these series take us. Moving forward.
Philly and Washington play in just a little bit, so that'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, exactly. So, by the time we show up next Sunday, how far into these round ones will we be?
Honestly, I'd assume that we'd be in game 7s at the latest. Let's see. NBA schedule.
Yeah, game 7s. Game 7s for like Lakers and Milwaukee and all that start on Saturday. TBD, obviously. But okay. So we might be looking at some possible game 1s for round 2 and all that already. So last thing we do then, let's just real quick. Who do you got moving on in each of these series in case they're done by the time we see each other again?
I'm having a. I don't know. My stuff is looking a little bit different because my Sundays are looking like game 4s here, but there's no way that they're.
Let me see. Today is the 23rd. Yeah, I have game 2s, game 3s. Oh yeah. What the heck? Oh, maybe I went ahead. I think I went ahead one week. I went ahead 1 week. Yeah, you're correct. All right, so we would just be barely approaching some game 4s. Okay, so sweet.
I mean that means that we'll still be fresh into the first round. I don't think there's going to be any sweeps, so that'll be the good thing. I think out of all teams, if I had to choose which team would get swept, it would be the Celtics. But other than that, I don't think there's really many teams that I could say, all right, this is going to be a 4-0 sweep. Like I think the Grizzlies could knock a game out. I think the Wizards could knock a game out. I definitely think the Suns and Lakers are going to be competitive. Obviously the Mavericks not going to game out. That Knicks Hawks games, honestly, like that's going to be one of my favorite series because that team is going to be, like instead of it being like you said, how like the Nets and Celtics look like it is a 2-7 thing.
This one's going to look like a 4-5 for sure.
Yeah.
Right? Or is it 4-5?
I think it is. I think it is. And so then it's like, these teams are middle of the pack teams. I don't see them being championship contenders right now, but for sure these guys are going to give both, Hawks and Knicks are going to be giving each other a run for their money. So I'm so excited for that. Yeah, I cannot wait to watch those games.
It'll be good. All right, so real quick, in the East, who do you got? You said Miami over Milwaukee, or just like who would you right now put a stamp on? Who do you got?
Miami.
All right, so Miami. I'm assuming you got Brooklyn over Boston.
Brooklyn over Boston.
All right. Philly over Washington.
Philly over Washington.
All right. And then what do you got for who wins the Knicks and Hawks?
Oh my goodness! I am putting my faith that Derrick Rose, Tom Thibodeau, and Julius Randle will be able to get it done over Trae Young.
Okay, I'm with you. I'm with you on the Knicks. I'm with you on the 76ers. I'm with you on the Nets. And I'm going to say that the Bucks are going to pull the series out over the Heat. I don't think that they can afford to lose this freaking series. I think the Miami Heat,
but I feel like they definitely could lose it. Doesn't mean you know what I mean? Like it's not like it's definitely like a make or break for them, but it's also
it's still a possibility that they can lose. Yeah,
you're playing against your practical polar opposite in the first round of the playoffs. So.
Yeah, that's why it's such a must win for them. And on top of that, they already have a 1-0 lead. You know what I mean? So all they got to do is win 3. All right, real quick then, let's run down the West. So Mavericks and Clippers, who you got winning it? Dallas leads 1-0 right now.
I would still have to bet on the Clippers.
Same. Same. Blazers Nuggets.
It's a tough one. I want the Blazers to win. I'm gonna say that if I had to bet, I would go with the Nuggets.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they'll be more consistent over the series, and then if they get Barton back, I think that's gonna help them.
Mm-hmm.
So I would probably say Denver. Lakers Suns, 2-7.
I'm gonna have I really want the Suns to win. I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to bet on the Suns to win because I want them to win. Like I can't. That's like one of those like with the Blazers Nuggets. It's like I want the Blazers to win, but I'm gonna say that the Nuggets are gonna win. Now this is like I want the Suns to win. I need the Suns to win. I'm betting on the Suns to win. Come on now, just please knock LeBron out.
I'm with you in terms of the desire, man, to see now first of all, now that the Spurs are out of the playoffs, to see Chris Paul removed from Houston, to see him removed from the Clippers, I'm finally in a position where I can root for Chris Paul to win the series.
I'm so like oh my goodness, man. I'm definitely one of the later CP3 fans, but man, after I watched him in OKC, I couldn't stop like being in awe over how good he was. It's just like man is so old, but he is so good at the game, and it's like
and so to be able to beat the Lakers would mean that he would have to be a leader to a bunch of young guys and to see them take the next step forward, and so it would be great, even though it's a 2-7, and so it's like at the end of the day you should expect the 2 seed to win, but how many freaking people are going to pick the Lakers to win? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even no matter, even before the 7 seed was locked, it was potentially Portland, Lakers, Golden State. Like even when it was like all of that, I bet most people were still saying, I don't know, man, the Suns are going to have their tough time with any of these guys. You know what I mean? And I understand they're unproven for a 2 seed. You know what I mean? So we'll see, man. I'm with you. Ooh, I don't know if I could say though that I think that they're gonna win, but I do. I think I'm gonna go with you in saying that, like, even if all the numbers point towards LA winning, I'm gonna bet on the Suns to win because I need them to win too. I think I'm with you on that. Speaking of, I don't know if I would call them unproven all the way, but kind of unproven for being a number 1 seed. We'll see how far they go. But Jazz Grizzlies, who do you got?
I would say Jazz. I would give Ja Morant the credit if he beats them, like one maybe 2 games, especially with Donovan Mitchell coming back from an injury. There's a good chance that the Grizzlies might be able to steal a game or 2.
Yeah.
But I'd say that the Jazz would be able to have it in the back. Honestly, you saw how they washed us. Another inconsistent team like the Grizzlies, I think the Jazz could wash them as well.
They are inconsistent, but the last 2 times that they played each other, they still had Donovan Mitchell goes off for 35 both games that they play. They only lost one of the games by 3 points. They have a guy in Valanciunas who can really change the way that they like to run their shit with Gobert. Like they can match Gobert in many different ways. So, and on top of that, like, yes, the Grizzlies are inconsistent, but they're kind of like the Lakers a little bit, but they make you kind of play this ugly kind of ball.
Yeah.
And if they can get Utah to play kind of ugly and take them out of sorts a little bit, I like their chances to just at least be competitive in this series. I think ultimately I'll probably still go with the Jazz, but I mean, I wouldn't be too surprised if this goes beyond a 4 to 5 game series.
I saw your tweet, the We Believe Grizzlies.
The We Believe Grizzlies, yeah. I mean, because and that's another thing. The Grizzlies, as a culture, they've done it before, man. You know what I mean? They've won a playoff series as an 8th seed before against the Spurs, and I would put the Spurs number 1 seed against this Utah Jazz number 1 seed. You know what I mean? And obviously, we're not comparing the Zach Randolph team to the Ja Morant team.
Right.
They're different teams.
That's another thing. We talk about like how our culture will carry over if we don't have like our guys. Look at Memphis. Memphis traded away Marc Gasol and Mike Conley. Like they traded away that grit and grind club, and look at what they built. I feel like I feel like I watch that team and it just kind of reminds me of the older teams. I'm like, man, these guys still feel like there's still a lot of the grit and not as much grind because they don't slow the game down, but a lot of grit. You know what I mean? Like they're still scrappy, and it's just like, well, I feel like we could do the same thing if we would have moved a little bit of pieces here and there. I don't think our culture would have been changed too much. Yeah. That's just a side note, though. I'm very excited for these playoffs. Very excited for these playoffs, and I can't wait to see. I hope I see a couple upsets, even though like technically like a 2-7, a two winning over a 7 in the West shouldn't be an upset, but it's an upset, you know. So
yeah, I mean,
I want to see that upset.
And I mean, but when the 7 is the defending champs, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, exactly. It'll still feel like an upset for sure. I bet.
For sure.
All right, Jake. Well, we'll see what the playoffs look like in a week from today. But I think that's the plan. For anybody who checked this out today, thank you. I think that is the plan moving forward. Is we're just going to come on and we'll just kind of if there is any Spurs news that happens during the off season that's unrelated to free agency and draft and all that kind of stuff, just if there is anything that pops up, we'll bring it up for sure. Because I mean, that's where we start, right? Is in San Antonio, but with us being out, I think we're still lovers of the game. We still want to keep going. And me personally, I know when I was younger, closer to Jake's age, I used to watch every single game because to know how other teams are doing their thing helps you feel like you can make an educated discussion on what your team needs and all that kind of stuff. So I'm anxious to kind of check out some of these Eastern Conference teams that I haven't got a chance to see a lot over the year, but I know bits and pieces about them. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll be back next Sunday to kind of just recap and keep talking about these playoffs. So thanks to anybody who jumped in and left some comments or just hung out and listened to us for a little bit. But yeah, so we'll see you guys next Sunday. Go Spurs, go, and bye bye. We'll see you. Peace.